Alright guys, I am excited about this one. This just came in the mail, like, just came in the mail. It's from AYN, it's the AYN THOR. AYN stands for all you need. A lot of people are trying to pronounce it AYN and all that, which you probably can, but AYN is an acronym for all you need. Anyway, this is their new device that is, it's something special. Let's get this out of its packaging. This thing has been all the buzz lately for all that it can do, since it is a very premium and special dual screen device. Here's the box. I believe it's the same box no matter which one you get, because it kind of shows the black one. And I did not order the black one, I got the clear purple one. And then it'll tell you on the side here which version you got on your order. So, you got a little pull tab here. Let's see what we got. Oh, it's magnetically closed, so you can keep this box. I'm guessing they, put a little bit more care into it. We have our little pouch, little envelope thing. Tells you the shortcut keys. Oh, and the product specs, safety tips, yada yada. Now, let's see if I can share this experience with you for the first time. I have not opened this. This was sealed. Okay. Got our device. A little guitar pick. I'm not sure what that's for. Is that for, like, opening it? I'm not sure why you would open it. I mean, to give you a guitar pick to do it as if you were going to do it often. And then we got a little pouch here. Man, I'm terrible at grabbing these. I assume this is the cable. Yep, got our nice cable. Ooh, it's a branded cable too. And it's actually kind of nice. It's metal. So there's an aluminum shroud around the port. And some elastic. Is this like a typical 3.3 foot? Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like about a yard. Nice. It's nice when they give you like a nice cable instead of like, one of the pooped out AliExpress ones. And we got our QC pass from November. No date, just 11/25. Cool. And here's the thing we've been waiting for, the actual device. So take it out of its little sleeve. Ooh. I'm gonna have to do some close-up shots in a second. I only threw the one camera on because I was in a hurry, because I was excited. So I'll get some close-up shots for you in a second. But man, that clear purple, that's pretty nice. You can see all the internals, and a lot of times when they do like clear stuff on devices, they'll have like fake internals, and then, just to make it look like something, but then that will be, the actual internals will be behind whatever shroud they put. But I see actual wires, I see the fan, I see the battery, and that's cool. Oh, and you can see like the actuation of your trigger when you pull that down. That's nice. And I was worried that the triggers on the back would stick out a little bit more, but they don't too much, so this still will be pocketable. That is nice. Now, I'll show you. This is the original DS. They're pretty close in size. They are, yeah, like the Thor is just a tiny bit taller, but yeah, they're about the same exact width. And I have the 3DS too, it's just in the other room, but I had this next to it. So this is the evolution of the dual screen. And the original DS is thicker, at least by just a little bit, hinge-wise, I think. Man, that's cool. Alright, so we got our power button on the bottom, Type-C at the bottom, with a headphone jack at the bottom. And then we got our TF card in there, so then we can expand its storage, which is really nice because if you don't want to go all out for the max, for the 1 terabyte, this is the Pro model. So it's got the 12 gigs of RAM and the 256 gigs of internal storage. So let's open up that. Ooh, okay. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel seeing this, but that purple on the inside here. Now, again, I'll get you a closer up shot here, but I'll assume I'll overlay it. That's like a richer purple than I was expecting on the inside, which is good. And then the thumbsticks are just recessed enough so you can close the screen without really hitting anything. Now, It does kind of have to rest on, there's like a little bit of a raised bumper here for the lid to close onto, which a lot of people have been talking about. They're worried about the hinge, you know, putting too much pressure on the corners, which we'll have to see over time. I might be concerned about the clear plastic because I know clear plastics have a different resistance or strength than most of the opaque plastics. So we'll see if this is, you know, rigid enough and strong enough. The comfortability of it, feeling it here. We'll have to actually get some gameplay in, but we'll have to see for long term. Now, thankfully, with camera controls being here, this sits a little bit low, so it's a little less comfortable, I think, in my first impression. Now, we'll see how it actually feels. Now, my bunker here is a little bit cold at the moment, so that probably doesn't help with, you know, the hand feel. So my hands aren't exactly the warmest at the moment, so we'll see how that actually goes once we actually play. But the D-pad feels good. It is like the perfect amount of resistance, I feel. You can move your finger across it and get a response quick enough, but it doesn't feel stiff. It's just it has enough of a tactile feel when you press down where you can feel like an input, but it's not like loud clicky. Like you can just hear it, but barely. It's not like some of the Ambernick D-pads where it's like, and there is the L3 and R3, so you can actually press in on these sticks. They do look, yeah, I guess what people are saying, I only used a Vita a little bit, but I guess they are kind of like Vita sticks. They have a little bit more, I mean, they're about the same size as a Switch stick, but they have this texture around it, like for around the edges for being a little bit more grippy, but they are about the same size as Switch sticks. So we'll get to testing that a little bit later. Again, this is just my unboxing and first impressions of opening it up. This isn't the review yet. That's going to come in probably a couple of weeks or so. So it'll come a little bit later once I actually get some true testing on it, because I have some tests that I haven't seen from other people yet that I really want to get into. For example, this has the same system on a chip that's on my phone, and I want to see the performance differences, because when you're playing on a phone, it can only do bursts of that power since there's no active cooling, whereas this has active cooling, so we'll be able to sustain performance much longer. So a lot of the games that I would play on my phone emulated, basically by the time you're loaded in, it will already have started to drop its performance, because it pushes the CPU hard enough so that it gets up to its like maximum heat tolerance just loading in the shaders and, you know, the level or whatever. So I want to see what that actually looks like side by side running the same stuff when you have a system that's dedicated to it, and especially because all the resources will be dedicated to it, because it's not doing a whole bunch of phone stuff, which phones tend to do phone stuff. So anyway, let's power this bad boy on. Power button at the bottom. Let's see how much juice it has when it lands in your pocket. I have felt the vibration, so let's see if it'll turn on right away or not. I'm not seeing a boot logo, so I don't know. Maybe I do need juice. Or is that just to tell me to hold it longer? Okay, I had to hold it long. Ooh, that screen. So one of the great things about an OLED screen, which this uses, is that one of the biggest issues with picking an emulation device is 96%. So I'm not sure when exactly it shipped and what. So it only lost 4% within shipping, and that's not to say that when I ordered, you know, they shipped it out right away. But it's been a few weeks probably where it's been powered down or whatever, because they basically have been manufacturing and shipping like as they go. So 4%, you know, going overseas, that's pretty cool. So anyway, wow, that's a good resolution. That's nice and crisp. So what is going to be special about this device is because it's kind of the perfect middle ground, not even middle ground. It covers the most basis when it comes to what people are looking for in a portable device. That's why there's so many portable devices, and that's why I'm going to have a video subject all about it. But a lot of times people are looking for portability, but then they want more power. And a lot of times those don't go hand in hand. But since this is a clamshell, It kind of gives you the chance to pocket it, but some people like vertical handhelds where the screen is at top so that you can have it a little bit closer to your face. But then a lot of times those will neglect having good thumbsticks or ergonomics for, the higher end games in that way. This is both. This is both a vertical and horizontal handheld because it has that flip out screen, but then you have your controls on the sides instead of all cramped in the middle. So that's nice that way. Also, a lot of times, depending on what games you're going to play, you have to pick between a aspect ratio for your screen. So a lot of times it's the 4:3 aspect ratio for, older games, and then a widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio for the new games. And a lot of times people don't want to have a wasted screen if they're planning on playing older games, and they don't want to have the pillar boxes. But OLED's nice because pillar boxes don't look as bad because the screen is just off on the side, so then it's just kind of like black bezels. Or you can decide to opt to play on the bottom screen while something else is at the top. So you can just use that 4:3 screen at the bottom if you so desire. So it covers a lot of ground, and it's portable and it's powerful. And let's continue setting up this device. Okay, while that finishes updating, brought out the 3DS. It's probably going to get a little bit of comparison to there's the 3DS XL specifically. So that one I think still is going to be thinner than the Thor, but they do have pretty much the same profile. In fact, the 3DS seems to be just a hair wider, interesting enough. And then you can kind of see the screen difference, which the 3DS XL seems to have a little bit of a bigger bottom screen. But, no dual sticks. In fact, that's just a slider if you don't remember. So not, super useful. And it was a really stiff slider, so not the most helpful there. But top screen on the Thor is wider. And no camera. So, no camera stuff. And of course, no 3D. But no one really used that anyway. Oh, a little intro animation. Ooh. Okay, so it still put me in the standard Android launcher, but that's what we're looking at here. Got music, calendar, sound recorder, some typical Android stuff. Google Play is in here. Let's try the Odin launcher, see what that looks like. Nothing's in here. So it looks like I don't see any emulation whatsoever. Like they don't have any pre-installed emulators from what I can see. Which is fine, I guess. Alright, well, I guess I'll go do that. Okay, I'm back, and I've done a lot of setup to get this thing to play a whole variety of games from different systems. And, well, I guess I'll tell you right off the bat, since it doesn't really come with any emulation pre-installed, it's just a blank Android operating system with, its own, I guess what they're calling the Odin launcher, its own skin on top of it, but that's still pretty bare bones. It does give you, some extra controls on that second screen for different fan speeds, for different overclocking modes if what you're playing requires it, which if you're doing Switch or you're doing a lot of upscaling of GameCube and PS2 games, it can really help you out, but we'll eat into the battery a little bit, obviously. But other than that, you have to go and get all your emulators that you want, and then fill them up with all the ROMs that you also want on there. And oddly enough, the ironic bit is that the 3DS was probably the hardest to set up. Wasn't too bad, I'm using Azahar, but you have to use these decrypted CCI files now, as opposed to the standard 3DS or CSI files that you used to run in the past to emulate. Not entirely sure why. I'm sure it's Nintendo's doing to some degree. Because Nintendo is really annoying to deal with, I'll have these cases of the games that I own right here. See, own the copy, bought these brand new when they came out. I'll have those showing while I am emulating them on this device, just to show that I do have the legitimate copies of them. The experience is much better emulated, and at least to some degree, on the Thor than it is on original hardware, as far as, you know, a brighter screen, higher resolution, all that stuff. And that Switch, it runs amazing. Eden is pretty much the emulator to get if you're going to install Switch games. If you're going to emulate Switch games, Eden is the obvious choice. They have a lot of amazing options for third-party drivers, like the turnip drivers, or the Mr. Purple turnip drivers, that work amazingly on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is on this handheld, which is, again, the same chipset that is on my phone, the OnePlus Open. So one of the videos I'm going to do in the very near future is showing what the performance difference is between a device like this versus a device like a phone, because there is a difference, because this has the active cooling, and the active cooling is going to really help out in keeping that performance stable, whereas a phone pretty much will spike the performance in the beginning, and then as soon as it heats up even a little bit, it will drop it back down, and sometimes lose performance up to like 40% or more, which can be drastic, which means that, you know, this will perform a whole lot better even though it's running the same chipset. So I'll make a video showing, you know, what the differences in those experiences are, because usually the first place to start with emulation is the device you already have, which is your phone. So we'll show you what it's like, you know, comparing the two to see whether it's worth it for you or not, which I might say it just is. So you can see there's a lot of cool things you can do with emulation. This thing is pretty awesome at working with PS2 and GameCube files. You can do things like widescreen hacks, which will, you know, force the resolution to be a 16:9 aspect ratio, when a lot of these games were designed to be the 4:3 aspect ratio, which you'll have mixed results. One of the problems I've noticed the most was seeing rendering issues on the sides, because while it is telling its renderer to render more of the area, a lot of times you'll see that the areas that aren't normally rendered, because they, you know, reserve which points of view, you know, which models to, you know, start loading in from your point of view, you'll see some of those kind of popping in and out, because it may not know that it's rendering at that new scale, as opposed to when it was just a square. So you'll notice artifacts like that. There's possibly ways around it. I'll see what I can do once I do the full video talking about this, but widescreen is pretty cool to be able to, you know, fully utilize the screen. I mean, being able to play PC games on the go on this is also just a massive, massive win, because the Steam Deck is huge, and a lot of the other systems are also just too big and just too inefficient on battery. So this form factor, we're going to see a good bit more of, I believe, and I'm all here for it. Okay, so here's Rocket League. Right now I'm unable to connect to the Epic Games server, and it might be that I just don't have Epic Games installed on here, which, I mean, would make sense, but that's probably something I can fix later. But I wanted to show you what that just gameplay looks like and how well it runs, you know, just in offline mode first. And there we have it. Playing natively right here on the AYN Thor. This isn't streaming, this is running through Steam emulation. As for frame rates, it says that we're getting around 45, 46, 47, somewhere around that ballpark. I believe the settings are all left to high though right now, so if you wanted a little bit more, you could probably push it to do a little bit more by lowering those settings. I have the device in high performance mode with the fan in smart mode, which will just change the fan speed according to its need. And even though it's not, you know, 60 or above, it might be something about the refresh rate of the screen too, because it is 120 hertz. Between that and I think the smallness of the screen, it feels like it is more. Anyway, I could yak on and on, but I'll save the rest for the full review. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be on the way very soon.